Hello and welcome back. In this lecture, we are going to test our function locally before deploying it to Azure. So to run our function locally, all you have to do is run function start command under your function app, and this will start all the functions created under the app. So right now we have just one. Now if you notice, the default value of the route that the function takes is the name of the function itself, but you can change this route. So let's do that. So inside your function.json, you can add the route attribute. Let's name it to default for now. Save it. Let's go back to our function and start it again. And this time you will see that the route has changed. Now to test it, simply copy the path that has been generated to you, and by default your function app will start at 7071 port. Let's copy it. Now to test it, I'm going to my Postman, and here I have created a simple workspace and created a get request here, and let's copy. I made a spelling mistake there, but let's ignore it for now and press send. So you can see we got a response, and this is all running locally. So a function was executed. Now we know that our same function takes the post method as well. So I'm going to just create another request, and this time using post. Let's change it to post method. Going to copy the URL from here. Now this is a post request, so I'm going to add a JSON file, and we need to pass the name. It's going to pass my own name and enter. So this time, because we have passed a name value, we are getting a different response, but our function is running locally and everything looks good, and we are ready to deploy it to our Azure environment. Now to deploy our app to Azure, we need to make sure that we are logged in into our Azure environment from our bash shell. So let's verify that. If not, just log in again. So I'm logged in into my Azure account. Now we're going to deploy our function app in the same resource group that we created earlier. So if you go to resource group in our Azure portal, we're going to deploy our function app under TGG resource group. Now before we deploy our function app to our Azure environment, we need to create a function app in Azure as well. And to do that, I'm going to paste a long command here. So we're creating a function app in Azure environment in the same resource group. I need to remove -rg, our resource group name is TGG resource-group, and you need to provide a consumption plan, location. Everything in our Azure till now is in East US, so we are going to do that. Then we provide the runtime of your function app, which is Node.js, and the version of Node.js that we're using. This is 16. And we also need to use the function runtime version. So we are choosing the latest one, which is version 4. I'm giving the same name to my function app that we had in our local. If you need a different name, you can change it here. And then I'm passing the storage account name. Let's create this. So my function app name already exists, so we need to change it to something else. Let's change it to my DGG function app and run it again. And our function app is created. The state is running, which means everything went well. Let me clear my screen. Let's go back to our portal. If I search for function app here, we have a new function app created. Now nothing has been deployed under this app till now. We have just created the function app. Once we deploy our functions, we will see all the functions listed under functions tab, and we will also get the keys to access the function, because auth level that we chose was function level. So for each function we will have a key that we can use to access that function. So let's go ahead and deploy our first function that we created. Now to deploy our app to the function app we created just now in Azure, we need to run function Azure function app space publish command, and we are going to publish it in our newly created function app, which was my DGG function app, and press enter. So this command will zip up everything that we had in our function app folder and upload it to our storage account. We'll create a blob, upload it there, and from there everything will get deployed to your Azure app. So you can see it, zip was deployed to a blob, and from the blob deployment was done to our function app in Azure, and in the end we get a URL. Let's copy this, go back to our Postman, and this time I'm going to just, let's say we want to use the post, I'm going to duplicate it. Let's put it as live, because we are going to test our Azure hosted URL. So if you notice, our URL is nothing but the function name .azurewebsites.net and then API v1 default. So all the functions that you deploy under this host with HTTP trigger will have the same URL till here, and then the route that you define for each function. Now because we chose auth level as function, if we try to access this function right now, we'll get a 401 unauthorized error. We need to pass authorization header, and the auth header that we're going to use is x functions keys, and we'll get the value from the function that we just deployed. So let's go to our function app, and inside the function app click on functions, and then we can see that we have a new function deployed. Click on that and then go to function keys here. So by default there will be a key generated for you. You can always renew the key. I'm going to copy the key, go back to our Postman and paste the value here. So I had the body with name Ankur here, and this time we should get a response. So we were successfully able to authenticate to a function with our function level key, and we are getting a response back. So we were successfully able to create our first HTTP triggered function with input and output bindings and with function level authentication. In the next lecture, we are going to create another function with storage queue trigger. So we are going to upload a small message to our storage queue. We will take that message and save it in our Cosmos DB collection. So see you in the next lecture. Thank you.